She stood in a ballroom full of people who smiled while deciding she didn't belong. A charity gala. Crystal chandeliers. $500 million on the table. Then the heir leaned close, asked where she was originally from, and poured red wine down her dress while his mother laughed. The cameras caught everything. 200 witnesses. And not one person said a word. But Dr. Amara Bennett didn't scream, didn't beg, didn't break. She walked out of that room and made a choice that would bring an empire to its knees. Subscribe right now and tell me where you're watching from, because what she did next changed everything. Amara fastened the second earring and studied her reflection in the hotel mirror. The dress was midnight blue, elegant without trying too hard. Her hands moved with practiced steadiness, but her stomach felt tight. She had prepared for this gala the way surgeons prepared for difficult cases. Every detail mattered. Every impression counted. The phone buzzed. Marisol's text was brief. "They're already downstairs. Vultures in tuxedos." Amara smiled at that. Marisol always knew how to name things clearly. She smoothed the fabric at her hips and exhaled slowly. Tonight was business dressed as charity. The partnership with Whitmore Industries would fund workforce programs across 3 neighborhoods. It would matter. But first, she had to survive a room full of people who would smile while deciding whether she belonged. The elevator ride down felt longer than it should have. She watched the numbers descend and reminded herself of something her mother used to say. Dignity was not a mood. It was a decision you made with your spine straight and your voice calm. The lobby hummed with pre-event energy. Donors and staff moved in practiced choreography. Amara approached the check-in desk. A young man in a vest looked up, then past her, then back again. "Delivery entrance is around the side," he said. His tone was helpful. Amara felt the familiar sting. Small, clean, always surprising even when it shouldn't be. "I'm a guest," she said. "Dr. Amara Bennett." His face shifted through 3 expressions in 2 seconds. Confusion, recognition, embarrassment. "Oh, Dr. Bennett, I'm so sorry. Let me—" "It's fine." She took the badge he offered. "Thank you." She walked toward the ballroom entrance, alone in a crowd. The small insult sat in her chest like a stone she couldn't swallow. But she kept moving. The night had already begun, and she was already carrying a bruise no one else could see. The ballroom glittered with too much light and too much laughter. Crystal chandeliers threw fractured brightness across white linen and champagne flutes. Amara stepped inside and felt the room assess her. It happened in glances and pauses, the way people looked and then looked again. Councilman Brandt appeared at her elbow within 30 seconds. His smile was warm in the way campaign smiles were warm, calculated and rehearsed. "Dr. Bennett." He shook her hand with both of his. "You look stunning, absolutely inspiring." Amara smiled back. "Thank you, Councilman." "This partnership is going to change lives," he said. "Real lives, real change." His words sounded good, they always did. But the tone felt like a pat on the head, like she was a project that reflected well on him. "That's the plan," Amara said. Brandt leaned in slightly. "The Whitmores are excited, Richard especially. He's ready to sign as soon as we're all aligned." Aligned. That word meant agreement without argument. It meant smooth and easy and grateful. Marisol appeared beside Amara with a glass of water. Not wine. Water. That was Marisol, always reading the room like a medic reading a battlefield. "Councilman," Marisol said. Her tone was polite. Barely. Brandt excused himself with another smile and moved toward a cluster of older donors. "You okay?" Marisol asked quietly. "Fine," Amara sipped the water. He called me inspiring. Marisol's jaw tightened. Of course he did. Across the room, the Whitmores arrived. Richard Whitmore entered first, tall and silver-haired, radiating the kind of confidence that came from never being told no. Evelyn followed, her dress shimmering, her smile sharp and practiced. Behind them came Caleb, younger, looser, a glass already in his hand. Amara felt something shift in the air, the kind of shift that came before storms. "Here we go," Marisol whispered. Amara set her glass down and straightened her shoulders. She had work to do. Caleb Whitmore moved through the crowd with the ease of someone who had never questioned his right to space. His laughter rose above the music, too loud and too frequent. People leaned toward him when he spoke. They laughed when he laughed. It was a kind of gravity that wealth created. Amara watched from across the room as he gestured with his glass, sloshing champagne without care. His friends circled him, their own glasses raised, their own laughter matching his rhythm. Evelyn touched shoulders and kissed cheeks, her charm polished by decades of practice. Richard shook hands with the kind of grip that said he owned the building even though he didn't. They looked like royalty. They moved like it too. Brant guided them toward Amara's table. She stood, smoothing her dress, preparing her face. "Dr. Bennett," Brant said, "may I introduce Richard and Evelyn Whitmore, and their son, Caleb." Richard extended his hand. His grip was firm. His smile was professional. "Dr. Bennett, we're thrilled about this partnership, truly thrilled." "Thank you," Amara said. "I'm looking forward to the work." Evelyn's eyes moved over Amara's dress, her jewelry, her hair. The assessment was quick and thorough. "You're even lovelier in person," Evelyn said. "The photos don't do you justice." Amara smiled. "That's kind of you." Caleb stepped forward, last. His handshake was loose, almost dismissive. His eyes held something Amara recognized, curiosity mixed with contempt. "Doctor," he said. The word sounded like a question he didn't believe. "Mr. Whitmore," Amara replied. His smile flickered. He looked at her the way people looked at art they didn't understand but felt obligated to appreciate. "So you're the one changing the city," Caleb said. "I'm trying to help," Amara said. "That's sweet." His tone made it sound like an insult. The introductions ended. Handshakes finished. The Whitmores moved to their table near the front. But Amara felt the air cool around her. She felt the shift. Caleb had decided she was entertainment. And the night had just begun. Brant took the podium as waiters moved between tables with silent efficiency. The microphone crackled once, then cleared. "Good evening, everyone." His voice filled the room. "Thank you for being here, for caring, for investing in our city's future." Applause rippled through the crowd, polite and punctual. Brant spoke about unity, about partnership, about how the city thrived when public and private sectors worked together. He named Whitmore Industries as the backbone of the local economy. Jobs, stability, generations of contribution. Then he turned to Amara's company, a promising newcomer, innovative, fresh perspective. The words sounded generous, but the framing was clear. Whitmore was the foundation. Amara was the guest. She listened and felt the velvet rope tighten. Inviting, but controlling. Across the room, Jonas Hale moved between tables with a tray balanced in steady hands. He was older than most of the service staff, his face lined with years of watching people who never saw him. He refilled glasses and cleared plates and noticed things others missed. He noticed how guests looked at Amara, the same way they looked at expensive art, impressive from a distance, untouchable up close. He noticed Caleb leaning back in his chair, one arm draped over the seat beside him. He noticed the grin on Caleb's face. It was the kind of grin that asked permission to be cruel. Jonas felt something tighten in his chest. He had worked enough galas to know when trouble was coming. Brandt finished his speech with more applause. The room settled into dinner conversation and clinking silverware. Caleb stood, glass in hand, and started walking toward Amara's table. Jonas watched, and kept watching. Caleb arrived at Amara's table with his friends trailing behind him. He pulled out a chair without asking and sat down. "Dr. Bennett," he said. His smile was wide. "Mind if I join you for a minute?" Amara set her fork down. "Of course." Marisol's hand tightened around her napkin. Caleb leaned back, relaxed and casual. "So, where are you originally from?" The question landed with weight. It always did. Amara met his eyes. "Chicago." "No, I mean," Caleb gestured vaguely. "Like, originally." "Chicago," Amara repeated. Her voice stayed calm. "Born and raised." One of Caleb's friends laughed. Quiet, knowing. "That's cool," Caleb said. "It's just, with all this diversity stuff in business now, I was curious." Amara felt her chest tighten. The familiar exhaustion rose. The exhaustion of being tested, of having to prove she belonged in spaces that should have been neutral. "Diversity," she said. "You mean hiring people based on qualifications?" Caleb shrugged. "I mean, sometimes it feels like there's a checklist." His friend smiled, encouraging. "Interesting," Amara said. She picked up her water glass. "What's on your checklist?" Caleb blinked. He hadn't expected the question turned back. "Just saying," he continued. "Executive suites used to mean something. Now everyone's got a title." Marisol shifted forward. "Everyone who earns it." Caleb glanced at her, then back at Amara. "Sure, of course." Across the room, Jonas paused near a serving station. He straightened silverware that didn't need straightening. He listened for the moment someone would step in. No one did. The table fell into uncomfortable silence. Caleb's grin widened. He was enjoying this, the discomfort, the power of making someone explain their existence. Amara's face remained composed, but her body felt tight. Her breath felt shallow. She had been here before. Different rooms, same test. And she was tired. So tired. Caleb lifted his glass, gesturing as he spoke. The red wine inside caught the light. "Anyway," he said, "I'm sure you worked hard. Everyone works hard, right?" His hand moved. Casual, loose, then it tilted. The wine spilled in a slow, deliberate arc. It hit Amara's dress and spread across midnight blue fabric in a dark, wet stain. The table went silent. Then Evelyn's laughter broke through. Light, amused, as if it were the funniest accident she'd ever seen. Richard smiled. Not quite a laugh, but close enough. Cameras lifted across the room. Phones captured the moment from multiple angles. Amara did not move. She sat perfectly still, feeling the cold liquid soak through fabric and touch her skin. For one long beat, the humiliation rose like heat. It threatened her control. It begged her to react. But she breathed. She held herself together. Jonas moved forward without thinking. He appeared beside the table with a clean linen cloth, his eyes apologizing for everyone else. "Ma'am," he said quietly. He offered the cloth. Amara took it. "Thank you." Her voice was steady, clear. She dabbed at the stain, knowing it was useless. The wine had already set. The damage was done. Caleb leaned back, watching. His smile was lazy, satisfied. "Oops," he said. "My bad." Evelyn's laughter faded into a knowing smile. Richard's eyes moved away, dismissing the moment as harmless youth. No one apologized. Not really. Amara set the cloth down and stood. She did not look at Caleb. She did not look at the cameras. She simply walked, out of the ballroom, through the crowd, into the hallway. She left the laughter stranded behind her, and she did not give them a scene. The private hallway felt colder than the ballroom, quieter. Amara leaned against the wall and let herself shake. Just for a second. Just enough. Marisol appeared 30 seconds later, carrying a spare blazer and a fury she barely contained. "I'm going to destroy him," Marisol said. Her voice was low and sharp. "I swear to God, Amara, not yet." Amara took the blazer. "Not like that." "Then how?" Marisol's hands were fists at her sides. "He humiliated you in front of 200 people, on camera." Amara slipped into the blazer. She buttoned it slowly, her fingers steady now. "I know." "And they laughed," Marisol said. "His mother laughed." Amara met her eyes. "I know." She looked down at the stain on her dress. Wine had seeped into the fabric, ruined it completely. She could scrub all night and still feel dirty if she accepted this, if she let silence be the response. Her phone buzzed. A message from Brandt's assistant. "Whitmore's board is ready to sign. They need your final approval by morning." Amara stared at the screen. The deal, the partnership, the jobs, the money. All of it hinged on her signature, on her willingness to move forward as if nothing had happened. She thought about the workers who needed those programs, the families who would benefit. Then she thought about Caleb's smile, Evelyn's laughter, the cameras. She thought about what silence would teach them, what it would cost her. "Schedule a meeting," Amara said quietly. "Tomorrow morning. Formal. With minutes." Marisol's eyes widened. "You're not going to sign." "I'm not going to sign until we talk about what just happened," Amara said. "In a room, on the record, with accountability." Marisol nodded slowly. Respect and fear mixed in her expression. "This could cost everything," Marisol said. "I know." Amara looked at her reflection in the hallway mirror. Wine stained her dress. Steadiness filled her eyes. Silence would cost more. Amara returned to the ballroom 20 minutes later. She wore the blazer, her head high, her face calm. Whispers followed her like a wake. Heads turned, eyes tracked her movement. But she walked through the fog of their judgment with the same steady grace she had carried in. She greeted people at tables, thanked donors, smiled when appropriate. She did not perform trauma for their comfort. She did not collapse to prove the harm was real. Richard appeared at her side near the bar. His smile was strained at the edges. "Dr. Bennett," he said, "I want to apologize for Caleb's clumsiness. He's young, sometimes careless." Amara looked at him. Really looked. "Careless," she repeated. "Boys will be boys," Richard said. He tried to laugh. "You know how it is?" "No," Amara said. "I don't." Richard's smile faltered. "Let's not make this bigger than it needs to be. We've got a good thing here, a partnership that benefits everyone." "Then let's talk about it," Amara said. "Tomorrow morning, your team, my team, a real conversation." Richard's jaw tightened. "Is that necessary?" "Yes." "Amara," he leaned closer. His voice dropped. "We're on the same side here. Don't let one stupid moment ruin something important." Amara felt anger rise. She controlled it. She shaped it into clarity. "There will be a meeting," she said, "with documents, with minutes, with accountability, because I will not negotiate my humanity in corners." She walked away before he could respond. Marisol caught up with her at the exit. "You okay?" "No," Amara said. But I chose this, and that's different. They left the gala early. Behind them, the Whitmores realized, too late, that Amara had not fled. She had chosen, and the choice was hers. Sunrise came too early and too bright. Amara met Marisol in a quiet conference suite on the hotel's business floor. The room smelled like new carpet and old coffee. Marisol had already spread documents across the table: partnership terms, workforce projections, community impact reports. Coffee? Marisol asked. Please. It tasted bitter, appropriate. Amara sat and pulled the contract closer. She had read it a dozen times. Every clause, every contingency. It was solid work, fair terms, real potential. But it was also incomplete. It said nothing about dignity, nothing about behavior, nothing about the culture that had produced last night. The city needs these jobs, Marisol said. She was not arguing. She was acknowledging. I know. 3 neighborhoods, 2,000 workers over 5 years. I know. Amara set her cup down. Tell me what you think I should do. Marisol was quiet for a moment. Her fingers tapped the table. I think you should protect yourself, Marisol said finally. I think you should make them earn it. Amara nodded. She pulled out a legal pad and began writing. The list came quickly. Transparency measures, workplace protections, anti-discrimination protocols, public accountability tied to funding milestones. This will make them angry, Marisol said. Good. Brandt will tell you to keep it civil. Amara looked up. Civility without justice is just a nicer mask. Marisol smiled. It was small and fierce. Okay then. The phone buzzed. Richard's assistant confirming attendance. 10 o'clock. The Whitmores would arrive with their lawyers. Amara felt her stomach tighten, but her hands stayed steady. She had chosen this path at 3 in the morning, staring at her ceiling, feeling wine-soaked fabric against her skin. Now she would walk it. Richard Whitmore arrived at 9:58 with 2 lawyers and a smile that looked expensive and strained. Evelyn entered behind him, her posture perfect, her expression suggesting she was doing everyone a favor by being present. Caleb came last, sunglasses indoors, hands in his pockets, moving with the reluctance of someone attending detention. Amara stood. Marisol stood beside her. Thank you for coming, Amara said. Richard gestured to the chairs. Of course, let's clear this up quickly. They sat. The lawyers opened briefcases. Marisol positioned a recorder on the table. We're recording? Richard asked. Minutes, Amara said. Standard practice. Richard's jaw shifted, but he nodded. Amara folded her hands on the table. She looked at Caleb. He stared at the window. Last night, Amara began, your son spilled wine on me in front of 200 people. Your wife laughed. You smiled. No one apologized. Richard leaned forward. It was unfortunate. Caleb was careless. We regret. Careless, Amara interrupted. That's the word you used last night, too. It was an accident, Evelyn said. Her tone suggested the conversation was beneath her. Was it? Amara looked at Caleb. Mr. Whitmore, was it an accident? Caleb said nothing. He did not remove his sunglasses. Caleb, Richard said, warning in his voice. It was stupid, Caleb muttered. I wasn't paying attention. Amara felt disappointment settle in her chest. Not surprise. Disappointment. You asked where I was originally from, Amara said. You made jokes about diversity hires. Then you spilled wine on me while people laughed. We're here to discuss the partnership, Richard said. Not to relitigate a social misstep. Amara slid her list across the table. Then let's discuss it. Richard picked up the paper. His eyes scanned quickly. His face darkened. Transparency audits? Third-party oversight? Public reporting? Yes. This is insulting, Evelyn said. We're not criminals. No, Amara said, but last night showed me we have different definitions of respect. Richard's lawyer leaned in and whispered. Richard shook his head. You're asking us to accept humiliation, Richard said. Public scrutiny, as if we're the problem. I'm asking for standards, Amara said. Standards that protect everyone. This isn't negotiation, Richard said. This is punishment. Amara met his eyes. What gives you the right to make these demands? Richard asked. Amara felt calm settle over her. She had expected this moment. My signature, she said, and my self-respect. The room went silent. The lawyers shifted papers. Evelyn stared at Amara with something between shock and fury. Richard stood. We'll need to review this, discuss internally. Of course, Amara said. They left, all of them. Caleb last, still wearing sunglasses, still silent. Marisol waited until the door closed. They're going to fight. I know, Amara said. Let them. Councilman Brandt found Amara in the lobby an hour later. He appeared at her elbow with concern painted on his face. Dr. Bennett, a word? Amara nodded. They moved to a quiet corner near tall windows. Outside, the city moved with its usual rhythm. Brandt spoke softly, gently. His tone was full of compassion. I understand you're hurt, he said. What happened last night was unfortunate. Truly. Unfortunate, Amara repeated. The word was starting to grate. But we need to think about the bigger picture, Brandt continued. 2,000 jobs, 3 neighborhoods, real change. I'm thinking about it, Amara said. If this partnership falls apart, people get hurt. Workers, families, voters. He paused. The city will need someone to blame. There it was. The threat wrapped in civic concern. Amara felt the familiar trap closing. Women who looked like her were always asked to carry everyone else's comfort, to absorb the blow, to make peace. You're saying I'll be blamed, Amara said. I'm saying we need to be practical. Brandt's hand touched her elbow. Guiding. Gentle. The greater good requires compromise. Across the lobby, Jonas moved past with a tray. He caught the gesture. The too long touch. The lean in. The way Brandt's voice dropped into persuasion. He recognized it. He had seen managers use the same technique on workers who complained. Make it about them. Make them responsible for everyone else's pain. Amara stepped back. Brandt's hand fell away. The greater good requires standards, Amara said. Not scapegoats. Amara, Dr. Bennett, she corrected. Brandt's face shifted. The compassion drained. What remained was harder. Don't make this personal, he said. It already is. Amara turned and walked away. Jonas watched her go. He saw the straightness in her spine, the control in her steps. He also saw the way her hand shook slightly when she pressed the elevator button. Jonas found himself in the security office after his shift ended. The guard on duty was young, new to the job, probably new to the city. Hey, Jonas said. I need to file an incident report from last night. The guard looked up. What kind of incident? Guest complaint. Spillage. I need the footage. The guard's eyes narrowed. You're supposed to go through management. I'm filing it now, Jonas said. I was there. I'm the witness. The guard hesitated. Jonas could see the calculation happening. Rich people had power. They could make workers disappear from payrolls. They could erase employment histories with a phone call. But Jonas also knew something else. Young people sometimes had principles they hadn't learned to trade yet. Please, Jonas said quietly. It's important. The guard studied him, then nodded. Give me a minute. The footage was clear. Too clear. Caleb's hand tilting, the whine arcing, Amara's stillness, Evelyn's laughter, the cameras rising. Jonas watched it 3 times, Each time felt worse. "Can you make a copy?" Jonas asked. "That's against policy." "I know." Jonas met his eyes. "I'm asking anyway." The guard was quiet for a long moment. Then he pulled out a flash drive. "I don't know anything about this," the guard said. "I understand." Jonas left with the drive in his pocket. It felt heavier than metal should feel. That night, he sat in his apartment and stared at the plain envelope where he'd stored it. Truth, evidence, confession. He thought about his job, his rent, his sister who depended on him. Then he thought about Amara's face. The way she said thank you for a cloth that couldn't fix anything. He kept the envelope. He kept the choice. Caleb's post appeared online at 2 a.m. Amara saw it when she woke at dawn, unable to sleep. The text was brief. "My bad about the wine spill last night. Sometimes champagne has a mind of its own. Oops. Orchestrated narrative escalation through public incident and societal division. Continue at I need to continue with the emotional impact of this post, the viral nature, and Amara's response. This is Chapter 13, where the incident goes public and the city divides." The clip from the gala was attached. Someone had edited it, added music, made it a joke. By 7 a.m, it had 50,000 views. By noon, 200,000. The comment section became a battlefield. People divided cleanly, often along lines Amara recognized. Those who called it harmless fun. Those who saw the cruelty clearly. "It's just wine. She's making it racial." "Did you see her face? That was intentional." "Rich kids being dumb. Not everything is discrimination." He asked where she was originally from first. Context matters. Amara sat in her office and scrolled through the comments. Not to punish herself. To understand what she was fighting against. Marisol stood in the doorway. "Don't read those." "I need to know," Amara said. "They'll destroy you if you let them." Amara's phone rang. A major donor. Someone whose foundation had supported her work for 3 years. She answered. "Hello." "Amara, hi, listen." The voice was warm, concerned. "We need to talk about the optics here." "Optics," Amara repeated. "The video, the response, it's getting messy." "It was messy when it happened," Amara said. I know, and we support you. We really do." A pause. "But can you maybe keep this quiet? Work it out privately?" Amara felt something cold settle in her chest. "Work what out?" "You know, the hurt feelings, the misunderstanding. We don't want this to become a distraction from the good work." "The good work," Amara said slowly, "requires me to accept being humiliated on camera?" "That's not what I'm saying." "Then what are you saying?" The donor sighed. "We love you, Amara, but we need this to stay professional, not personal." Amara looked at the video, frozen on her screen. Her face, the wine spreading, Evelyn's smile. "I'll think about it," Amara said. She hung up before he could respond. Marisol was still watching from the doorway. "What did he want?" "Silence," Amara said. He wanted silence. The donor requested a meeting. Amara agreed because refusing would have been its own kind of statement. They met in a small lounge downtown. Leather chairs, low lighting, the kind of place where deals happened quietly. He ordered scotch. Amara ordered water. "Thank you for meeting," he said. "I wanted to talk face to face." "I'm listening." He leaned forward. His expression was earnest, caring. "You're brilliant, Amara. Your work matters. Your vision matters." He paused. "But this situation with the Whitmores, it's becoming a problem." "For whom?" "For everyone. The foundation, the partnership, your reputation." Amara sipped her water. "My reputation was damaged when someone poured wine on me. Not when I responded. I understand that. His voice was patient. But we're worried about the narrative, about you being seen as difficult. There it was. Difficult. The word they always used for women who refused to shrink. I see, Amara said. We want to support you, he continued. Money, connections, access to networks that could change everything for your company. He paused. But we need you to keep this quiet. Don't make it racial. Don't make it political. Amara felt anger rise. She controlled it. She shaped it into a question. If this happened to your daughter, Amara said, would you tell her the same thing? His eyes slid away. He looked at his scotch. The amber liquid caught the light. That's different, he said. How? He didn't answer. The silence answered. Amara stood. She set her water glass down carefully. Thank you for your time, she said. Amara, wait. She walked into the hallway. Marisol was waiting near the entrance. How did it go? Marisol asked. He offered me money to be smaller, Amara said. To shrink. Marisol's jaw tightened. What did you say? Nothing. Amara pulled out her phone. But I'm done chasing approval from people who require me to disappear. She opened her notes app and began drafting. A press announcement, her terms, her voice. We're really doing this? Marisol asked. Yes, Amara said. We are. The meeting with Evelyn happened 2 days later. Arranged through back channels, private, off the record. They met in a hotel suite. Neutral ground. Evelyn arrived in cream and pearls. She looked at Amara with something between curiosity and calculation. Dr. Bennett, Evelyn said. She did not offer her hand. Mrs. Whitmore. They sat in chairs facing each other. The space between them felt like a courtroom. I wanted to speak with you directly, Evelyn said. Woman to woman. Amara waited. What happened at the gala was unfortunate, Evelyn continued. But surely we can resolve this reasonably. I've proposed reasonable terms, Amara said. Evelyn's smile was thin. Those terms are insulting. They suggest we're the problem. You laughed, Amara said. Your son humiliated me and you laughed. It was a spill, an accident. It wasn't. Amara leaned forward slightly. And you know it wasn't. Evelyn's expression hardened. The warmth drained. What remained was cold and calculating. You're making a mistake, Evelyn said. Walking away from this partnership. It's emotional, unwise. It's principled, Amara said. It's expensive. Evelyn's voice dropped. For both of us. But I think you'll find you have more to lose. There it was. The threat without the costume. Everyone has a price, Dr. Bennett, Evelyn said. What's yours? Amara felt something shift inside her. Not anger. Clarity. She realized the deal was never about partnership. It was about permission. Permission for them to continue. Permission for the culture that produced Caleb's smile and Evelyn's laughter. She stood. I don't. Excuse me? Have a price, Amara said. Not for this. She walked to the door. Evelyn's voice followed her. You'll regret this. Amara paused, looked back. Maybe, but I'll regret it with my dignity intact. She left. The door closed with a soft click. Outside, Marisol was waiting in the car. Well? She threatened me, Amara said. Politely. Marisol started the engine. What now? Amara looked at the city passing by. Lights and movement and people who would never know this conversation happened. Now, Amara said, we rewrite the terms. Publicly. The news broke first on social media, then local outlets, then regional coverage. Partnership in jeopardy after gala incident. Dr. Amara Bennett demands accountability from Whitmore Industries. For one day, Amara felt relief. Small, private. She had reclaimed oxygen. She had drawn a line. Then the backlash arrived. Anonymous messages filled her inbox. Some were crude, some were threatening. Most were careful to sound reasonable while suggesting she was the problem. Opinion pieces appeared in local papers, measured, thoughtful, all of them calling her divisive. Dr. Bennett's response, justified or destructive? Can one incident derail economic progress? Brandt's office issued a statement, carefully worded, suggesting that personal grievances should not override community needs. Richard's board released their own statement. They called Amara's demands unreasonable and potentially unstable. The word unstable did its work. It reduced moral clarity to emotion. It pathologized principle. Marisol showed Amara the headlines in her office. "We're losing the narrative." "We never had it," Amara said. "The city thinks you're being difficult." "The city wants me to be quiet." Amara leaned back in her chair. "That's different." Her phone buzzed. Another email, another message asking her to reconsider. Another donor expressing concern. She felt tired. So tired. Jonas heard the staff gossip in the hotel break room, the way they talked about Dr. Bennett. Some defended her. Most stayed quiet. But a few blamed her. For making trouble? For risking jobs? For not letting it go? Jonas listened and realized how quickly people defended cruelty when it protected their comfort. He thought about the envelope in his apartment, the footage, the truth. He wondered if keeping it made him brave or just scared. That night, Amara stayed late in her office. The city lights spread below her window. Beautiful and indifferent. She wondered if she had miscalculated. If justice was worth the cost. Her phone screen glowed with unread messages, most of them asking her to stop. She set the phone down and stared at the darkness beyond the glass. For the first time, she felt doubt creep in through the cracks. The call came from someone Amara trusted, a mentor, someone who had guided her through early career decisions and celebrated her successes. His voice was warm on the phone, concerned. "Amara, how are you holding up?" "I'm managing," she said. "I've been following the news." He paused. "I wanted to reach out, talk this through." Amara felt her chest tighten. She knew what was coming. "I appreciate that," she said. "You've made your point," he continued. "You stood up. You showed strength. Everyone sees that. But now it's time to think strategically." His voice was gentle, paternal. "Take the win quietly. Accept a private settlement. Move forward." The words landed like stones. Advice dressed as wisdom. Surrender dressed as strategy. "A private settlement," Amara repeated. "It protects you. It protects the company. And honestly, it protects the community." He spoke slowly, carefully. "Sometimes the high road means taking what you can get." Amara felt suddenly alone. More alone than she had felt standing in the hallway with wine soaking through her dress. "You think I should stop," she said. "I think you should be smart." He paused. "I care about you, Amara. I don't want to see you hurt worse than you already are." She heard the sincerity in his voice. She believed he meant it, but she also heard the message underneath. "Stop making noise. Stop making them uncomfortable. Be grateful for the crumbs." "Thank you for calling," Amara said. "Will you think about it?" "I will." She hung up before he could say more. Marisol was in the office. She had heard Amara's side of the conversation. "Who was that?" Marisol asked. "Someone who thinks I should quit," Amara said. Marisol's face was tight. And I understand why he thinks that." Amara looked at her hands. They were shaking slightly. "Compromise would protect the company. It would protect jobs. It would protect me." "But?" Marisol's voice was quiet. but it would teach Caleb that cruelty only requires a backroom check. Amara met her eyes. And I can't do that. Marisol nodded slowly. Then she sat down across from Amara. I need to tell you something, Marisol said, and I need you to hear me. Amara waited. I'm scared, Marisol said. I'm scared we're going to lose everything. I'm scared the backlash will destroy what we've built. I know, Amara said, but I'm more scared of what happens if we stop. Marisol's voice was steady now. If we accept this, if we teach people that money buys silence. Amara felt something release in her chest. Relief. Gratitude. You can walk away, Amara said. If you need to, I won't hold it against you. Marisol shook her head. I'm not walking anywhere. I'm just telling you I'm scared. Me too, Amara said. They sat in silence for a moment. Two women in an office, holding a line they hoped wouldn't break them. Okay, Marisol said finally. What's next? Amara pulled out her notes. We prepare, and we don't back down. Jonas Hale was called into the manager's office during his lunch break. He knew before he arrived what the conversation would be about. The manager was polite, professional. His face was tired. Jonas, sit down. Jonas sat. We've gotten some feedback, the manager said, from guests about staff involvement in external matters. Jonas said nothing. He waited. Look, you're a good worker. Been here a long time, but we need to be careful. The manager leaned forward. Stirring trouble with high-profile guests. It's not good for business. I didn't stir anything, Jonas said quietly. You filed an incident report. You requested footage. People noticed. Someone was humiliated, Jonas said, in our ballroom. That's not your concern. The manager's voice was firm. Your concern is doing your job, quietly. Jonas felt his stomach drop. He knew what was being said without being said. Stay invisible, stay silent, or lose everything. Are you firing me? Jonas asked. I'm warning you. The manager softened slightly. Don't get involved. Don't make waves. Just do your job. Jonas nodded. He left the office feeling smaller than he had when he entered. That night, he sat in his small apartment. The envelope with the footage sat on the table in front of him. He stared at it the way people stared at decisions they couldn't unmake. He thought about his rent, his sister who called twice a week, his nephew who needed help with college applications. He thought about the 43 years he had worked service jobs, always agreeable, always careful, always surviving by being invisible. His phone rang. His sister. Hey, he said. You sound tired, she said. Long day. What's wrong? Jonas was quiet. Then he told her. About the gala, about the footage, about the manager's warning. She listened without interrupting. When he finished, she was quiet for a long moment. Are you asking my permission? She said finally. I don't know what I'm asking. You're scared, she said. It wasn't a question. Yes. Good. That means it matters. Her voice was gentle. Fear doesn't mean you're wrong, Jonas. It means the truth is expensive. Jonas felt his eyes burn. What if I lose my job? Then you lose your job. She paused. But you'll still have yourself. And that's worth something. He sat with that for a while after they hung up. Then he opened a drawer and pulled out paper and a pen. The next morning, Jonas went back to the hotel. He found the Human Resources office and asked for a formal incident report form. You filed one already, the receptionist said. I want to file another, Jonas said, with my name, on the record. The receptionist's eyes widened, but she gave him the form. Jonas filled it out carefully. His handwriting was neat and deliberate. He described what he saw, what he heard, what he felt. At the bottom, where it asked for additional documentation, he wrote, Security footage available upon request. He signed his name, he dated it, he submitted it. Then he slipped the envelope into his jacket like a vow. He had chosen a side, and he felt, for the first time in decades, like he was standing upright. Amara and Marisol spent 3 days reviewing everything they could find about Whitmore Industries. Financial reports, employee reviews, news archives. What they found was a pattern. Sealed settlements appeared in legal databases, complaints that never went to trial, managers quietly reassigned, workers who left abruptly with confidentiality agreements attached. "Look at this," Marisol said. She pointed at a document. 5 HR complaints in 3 years, all resolved internally, all sealed. Amara scanned the details. The complaints came from workers who looked like Jonas, who sounded like him, people who were paid to disappear rather than protected. "This isn't about Caleb," Amara said slowly. "It's deeper than that." "It's the culture," Marisol said. "The whole structure." Amara felt grief settle in her chest. Not rage. Grief. Because the story was older than one glass of wine. It was built into the foundation. She thought about all the people who had complained before, who had been silenced with money and fear, who had learned that speaking cost more than staying quiet. "We can't just address the gala," Amara said. "We have to address the system." Marisol nodded. "That's going to make them fight harder." "Let them." Amara pulled out fresh paper and began drafting. "We're not negotiating dignity anymore. We're rebuilding accountability." The framework she created went beyond the incident. Workplace protections, third-party audits, anonymous reporting systems, real consequences tied to real behavior. It was comprehensive. It was expensive. It was necessary. When she finished, Marisol read it twice. "This is good," Marisol said. "This could actually change things." "If they accept it," Amara said. "They won't." Marisol looked up. "Not without a fight." Amara's phone buzzed, a text from Brandt's office. "Emergency press conference tomorrow, City Hall, your presence requested." Amara showed Marisol the message. "They're getting ahead of us," Marisol said. "Then we show up," Amara said, "and we listen. Then we respond." The press conference was scheduled for noon. City Hall steps, cameras and microphones arranged in careful rows. Amara arrived early. She stood in the back, wearing a navy suit and flat shoes, ready to stand for hours if needed. Brandt took the podium at noon exactly. His face was solemn. His tone was measured. "Good afternoon. Thank you for coming." He paused. "I want to address the current situation regarding Dr. Amara Bennett and Whitmore Industries." Amara's chest tightened. "This partnership represents real progress," Brandt continued. "Jobs, investment, community development. But we find ourselves at a crossroads." He spoke about unity, about moving forward, about how personal grievances should not override collective needs. He never said Amara's name again. But the implication was clear. She was the obstacle. She was the problem. "We must ask ourselves," Brandt said, "whether extremes on both sides are serving the greater good, whether one incident, however unfortunate, should threaten the livelihoods of thousands." Reporters leaned forward. Questions formed. Dr. Bennett's demands, while understandable emotionally, create an untenable situation for established businesses. Brandt's voice was sympathetic, regretful. "We cannot allow personal feelings to endanger economic stability." Amara felt the room tilt. She felt the weight of blame shifting toward her. A reporter raised her hand. "Is Dr. Bennett's response endangering jobs?" Brandt paused. "That's a question the community will have to answer." Another reporter. "Should she accept a settlement and move on?" "I believe in reconciliation," Brandt said. "In grace. In forgiveness." Amara listened to herself being erased, her dignity reduced to personal feelings, her principles reframed as extremism. For the first time, real doubt pierced through her resolve. What if this cost innocent people too much? What if justice came at a price she couldn't pay? She walked outside. The air was cold. Her hands shook. Marisol followed. "Don't listen to him." "What if he's right?" Amara's voice was barely a whisper. "What if I'm being selfish?" "You're not. People could lose their jobs. Families could suffer." Amara looked at the city around her. "Because I won't be quiet." Marisol grabbed her shoulders. "People are already suffering. In that company, in that culture. You're just the first one with enough power to say it out loud." Amara's phone buzzed. A text. Unknown number. "I have the footage, and I'll stand with you. Jonas." Amara stared at the screen. Her breath caught. Someone else had chosen. Someone with more to lose. Someone who was standing anyway. She looked at Marisol, then back at the message. "We're not alone," Amara said quietly. "No," Marisol said. "We're not." Amara straightened her shoulders. The doubt didn't disappear, but it no longer paralyzed her. "Schedule our press event," Amara said. "Tomorrow, same time, same place." The morning of Amara's press conference arrived with sharp autumn light. The venue was arranged with deliberate clarity. No shadows, no side doors, no whispered deals. Amara arrived an hour early. Marisol was already there, checking microphones and sight lines. "You ready?" Marisol asked. "No," Amara said, "but I'm here." Richard and Evelyn Whitmore arrived 30 minutes before the scheduled start. They entered through the front, their faces tight with tension. Caleb followed, his sunglasses finally gone, his confidence visibly thinning. They took seats in the second row, close enough to show they weren't hiding, far enough to maintain distance. Jonas arrived 15 minutes later. He wore his hotel uniform, freshly pressed. His shoulders were squared, his face was calm. He caught Amara's eye from across the room. She nodded. He nodded back. Media filled the remaining seats, cameras positioned, recorders tested. Amara stood backstage in a small holding area. She looked at her reflection in a window. She thought about the hotel mirror 6 weeks ago. Fastening earrings, preparing for a night that would change everything. She had not known then what dignity would cost. She knew now. Marisol appeared beside her. 2 minutes, Amara breathed. Once, twice, she grounded herself in her body, in her purpose. "Let's go," she said. They walked to the stage together. The room fell silent as Amara approached the microphone. She looked out at the crowd, at the cameras, at the Whitmores in the second row, at Jonas standing against the back wall. She placed her notes on the podium. Then she began. "Good afternoon. Thank you for being here." Amara's voice was clear, steady. "My name is Dr. Amara Bennett. 6 weeks ago, I attended a charity gala where I was humiliated in front of 200 people." The room was silent. Pens moved across paper. Cameras stayed focused. Caleb Whitmore poured wine on my dress while his mother laughed and his father smiled. Cameras captured it. Social media spread it, and I was asked to accept it quietly. Richard shifted in his seat. Evelyn's face remained perfectly still. "I was told it was unfortunate, a misunderstanding. Boys being boys." Amara paused. "I was asked to consider the greater good, to think about jobs, to prioritize economics over dignity." She looked directly at the Whitmores. "I want to be clear about something. This is not about revenge. This is about standards." Her voice was calm, firm. What happened that night was not an isolated incident. It was a symptom of a culture that treats certain people as less deserving of respect. Amara pulled out her framework document. I proposed accountability measures, transparency, workplace protections, third-party oversight, things that should already exist in any responsible company. She set the document down. Those measures were called insulting. I was called unstable. My principles were reduced to personal feelings. She paused. But dignity is not a feeling. It's a standard. And standards matter in boardrooms as much as they matter anywhere else. The room was completely still. Humiliation is a tool of control, Amara continued. It teaches people to accept less, to expect less, to be grateful for crumbs. She looked at the cameras. I refuse that lesson. She took a breath. The partnership with Whitmore Industries, as originally written, is cancelled. Gasps, whispers, cameras clicked rapidly. Richard leaned toward his lawyer. Evelyn's jaw tightened. Caleb stared at his hands. However, Amara continued, I am presenting an alternative. A partnership built on mutual respect and enforceable accountability. One that protects workers. One that establishes clear consequences for discriminatory behavior. She held up the framework. This is not punishment. This is progress, and it's available to any company willing to meet basic standards of human dignity. Amara stepped back from the microphone. Marisol stepped forward to distribute copies of the framework to reporters. The room erupted. Questions shouted, hands raised. Richard stood. His face was red. This is extortion. Amara returned to the microphone. No, Mr. Whitmore. This is business, with ethics attached. Evelyn stood beside her husband. You're painting us as villains, as if we're the problem. You're not villains, Amara said, but you enabled harm. You laughed at it, and you expected silence in return. This will destroy us, Richard said. His voice was shaking. No, Amara said quietly. This will change you. There's a difference. Richard's lawyer stood and tried to redirect. He spoke about defamation, about business interference, about legal consequences. His words sounded hollow against Amara's steadiness. Then Jonas moved. He walked from the back wall toward the front of the room. Every eye followed him. He approached a microphone set up for audience questions. His hands were steady. My name is Jonas Hale, he said. His voice was rough but clear. I've worked at the Grand Hotel for 12 years. I was serving tables the night Dr. Bennett was humiliated. The room refocused. Cameras turned. I saw what happened, Jonas continued. I saw Mr. Whitmore pour that wine. I saw the laughter. I saw Dr. Bennett walk out with more dignity than anyone in that room showed her. Richard stood. This is inappropriate. I have the security footage, Jonas said. He pulled the envelope from his jacket. And I'm willing to provide it as evidence that what happened was no accident. The room erupted again. Reporters shouted questions. Cameras flashed. Jonas kept speaking. I'm nobody important. I carry trays, I clear plates. Most nights guests don't even see me. He paused. But I saw, and silence felt like being part of the problem. Evelyn's face had gone pale. Caleb's hands gripped the armrests of his chair. I'm risking my job by being here, Jonas said. But Dr. Bennett risked her entire company, her reputation, her peace. He looked at her. The least I can do is tell the truth. Amara felt her throat tighten. She nodded at him. Thank you. Jonas stepped back, but he didn't sit down. He remained standing. A reporter called out, Mr. Whitmore, what's your response? Richard opened his mouth. Closed it. His lawyer whispered urgently. We dispute these characterizations, Richard said, but his voice lacked conviction. Another reporter. Mrs. Whitmore, did you laugh? Evelyn's composure finally cracked. It was a social evening. Things happen. But did you laugh? The reporter pressed. Evelyn said nothing. Her silence was its own answer. Then Caleb stood. His face was drained of color. His hands shook slightly. Can I? He cleared his throat. Can I say something? Richard grabbed his arm. Caleb, don't. Caleb pulled away. He walked to the microphone Jonas had used. For a long moment, he just stood there. The room waited. I poured the wine, Caleb said finally. His voice was barely audible. On purpose. The room exploded. Reporters shouted. Cameras pressed forward. Caleb's hands gripped the microphone stand. I asked where she was from. I made jokes. I wanted her to feel small. He paused. Because I could. Because people laughed. Because it made me feel important. Evelyn sat down heavily. Richard's face was ashen. I'm sorry, Caleb said. He looked at Amara. I'm sorry for what I did. I'm sorry for lying about it. I'm sorry for the pain I caused. Amara watched him. She saw the performance fall away. She saw something real underneath. Fear. Shame. Maybe the beginning of understanding. Thank you, she said quietly. Caleb stepped back. He returned to his seat between his parents. He looked smaller than he had 6 weeks ago. Richard stood slowly. His lawyer tried to stop him. He ignored the attempt. He walked to the podium. Amara stepped aside. Richard looked at the cameras, at the reporters, at the evidence of his family's cruelty on display. Dr. Bennett's framework, he said slowly, is acceptable. We'll sign it. Today. Gasps rippled through the room. My son was wrong. My wife and I enabled him. Our company has a culture problem. Richard's voice was heavy. And that ends now. He pulled out a pen. Marisol brought forward the framework document. Richard signed it. On camera. In front of everyone. Not as a victory lap. As a surrender to a better standard. 6 months passed. Whitmore Industries implemented the accountability measures. Every one of them. Third-party audits revealed 3 additional complaints that had been buried. Those cases were reopened. Settlements were voided. Voices were heard. The company established an ethics board with real power. Workers were given anonymous reporting systems. Managers received training that focused on dignity as a business asset. It was slow. It was expensive. It was necessary. Jonas kept his job. More than that, he was promoted. His new title was Employee Advocate. His desk sat on the executive floor. His voice mattered in meetings where decisions were made. He established a scholarship fund for workers' children. The first cohort arrived through his community connections. 20 students. Real opportunity. Amara visited the hotel one afternoon in early spring. She wore jeans and a sweater. No gala dress. No performance required. Jonas met her in the lobby. They walked through the ballroom, where it had happened. Does it still hurt? He asked. Sometimes, Amara said, but differently now. They stood near the table where Caleb had poured the wine. The memory was still there, but it no longer defined the room. People look at me now, Jonas said quietly. Before, I was invisible. Now they see me. You were always worth seeing, Amara said. I didn't know that, Jonas said. Not until I stood up. They walked outside into spring sunshine. The city moved around them with its usual rhythm. Amara thought about the cost of the past 6 months, the donors who left, the allies who flinched, the nights she couldn't sleep. But she also thought about the workers who now had protection, the voices that were heard, the standards that would outlive a single night. Was it worth it? Jonas asked. Amara considered the question, really considered it. Yes, she said, not because it was easy, because it was right. They said goodbye on the sidewalk. Jonas returned to work. Amara walked toward her car. She passed the hotel check-in desk. The same young man from the gala was working. He looked up and recognized her immediately. "Dr. Bennett?" he said. His voice was respectful. "Good to see you." She smiled. "You too." As she drove away, she thought about change, how it happened in small moments and large ones, how it required sacrifice but delivered something rarer than comfort. Justice was not a moment. It was a practice, a decision made every day, and dignity, she had learned, wasn't proven by how loudly someone fought. It was proven by how firmly they refused to be diminished. She looked at the city in her rearview mirror. The buildings, the people, the systems that bent slowly toward something better. She exhaled. The weight she had carried for months felt lighter. Not gone. Just lighter. And that was enough.